watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access TV.
Serious.
Serious.
Serious about business.
Welcome to Business Access Television's coverage of Roper Cup 2019. It's the annual football festival between Kingston College and St. George's College. We're coming to you from the Stadium East Field, where we will be bringing you highlights from an exciting day of football. I'm your host, Kenil Gale. Stick around. Joining me now to kick off our coverage is Dr. Patrick Dallas. He is the chair of the Roper Cup 2019 Organizing Committee. Dr. Dallas, thank you so much for joining us here on Business Access Television. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and you're most welcome. And thank you for being here to be part of this great football festival called Roper Cup.
All right, awesome. Let's start by telling our viewers a little bit about the Roper Cup. Give us some background in terms of the genesis of the Roper Cup and the reason the festival is so important to Kingston College and St. George's College.
Well, Roper Cup is symbolic of that friendly rivalry between two great institutions on North Street, Kingston College and St. George's College. This Roper Cup competition goes back to 1964. It's named after Father Jack Roper, who was a Jesuit priest at St. George's, and our founder of Kingston College, that is Percival William Gibson. He actually is a old boy of St. George's College, and we have managed to keep that link between two institutions. We are, we're rivals on the field, but we are very good friends. And the enduring part about Roper Cup and why we want this to continue is because it is important to show that we can be rivals and friends. So, as I said, it started in 1964, so this is really the 56th renewal of the Roper Cup. And this year, Kingston College hosting. We alternate host for the Roper Cup competition. One of the important things about this year too, one of the attractive thing about this year too, is that the final match, which is usually the Manning Cup match, is really a replay of last year's Manning Cup final. Right. So we expect to get a lot of interest in this. We expect people to come out and see this as a dress rehearsal for the season that is coming up.
For the season that's coming up, which should be a renewal of the intense rivalry. But talk to me, you said the Manning Cup match will be ending the proceedings this evening. Talk to me about the other divisions that happened today.
Okay, we started with under 14, and Kingston College won that 4-1. We then had the under 16. The more things change, the more they remain the same. Kingston College won 4-1 again. Then we went into the under 35, and that was a 1-1 draw. And the over 35 ended again in the 2-2 draw. Well, it's interesting because the George Thompson Cup is decided on the aggregate score of the under 14 and under 16. Right. And then the Roper Cup itself is decided on the under 35 and the Manning Cup scores, the aggregate scores. The Pancho Ranking Cup is the over 35. So that cup will be shared.
This is very significant to Kingston College and St. George's College boys, whether present or old boys. Just tell me why do you think it is so significant to the past students, the present students?
Yes, because this is two institutions that have great reputation in football in tradition and always strong teams. So we always see this as a last match before the real season begins, where we can use this match. Both teams see this as the opportunity where they have a final match before the competition starts against another strong team. So it's very important because both teams can use this to gauge where they are in the competition.
Joining me now is a man they call Coolie Pele. I'll allow him to tell you his right name.
Well, popularly called, and affectionately so I take no offense to it, Coolie Pele.
but my given name is Derek Denisser, also called Shastri, from my Kingston College days. So it's Derek Shastri Denisser. And the fans call me all kind of things, whether they are rooting for me or against me. But I've learned at KC not to resist any names given to you, but to just smile and go on.
And with the KC St. George's College rivalry, they probably have called you a lot of things in the days, right?
Yes, a lot of things, affectionately so. And I've grown from when I was a player to a past player to now working with a company that sponsors the competition. And it's been friendly rivalry over the years. The Roper Cup is really the longest traditional feud or rivalry between high school at the football level. And we welcome it every year. The St. Georgians look forward to it. They tease us, they say our headmaster went there and the cup is named after a Georgian. And we tell them that they may be twice as old as us, but we are twice as good as they are.
Talk to me about the importance of the Roper Cup in building not just the rivalry, but the brotherhood between these gentlemen going to these schools.
Well, the rivalry is very important. These are two great traditional institutions, and the tenets and principles that they uphold and have dear to their heart, we try to transmit that to the wider society. Honesty, character, good building. Rivalry and sport, yes, but the aim of Bishop Gibson was to build good men for the wider society so that all of us in the end can benefit. Education is paramount, but then physical activity, a good healthy body with a good healthy mind are as well for the success of the society.
Talk to me about moving from being a player to being a national player to now being involved with the organization and sponsorship of the Roper.
Well, you move on as with age, you are not able to do what you would like to do physically, but mentally you still have a desire so to do. But not being able to do it, we impart it to the young and upcoming youngsters who, I was like them once, and we try to tell them that one day they'll be like us, God willing, they live forever. And to live not only for today, but to live with eternity in view, what we do and say now, and the principles and the values that we are teaching them, these are values that on the road of life, they can guide them and they avoid pitfalls and make the best of their best situation. But primarily for the youngsters still in school, the rivalry is intense. With age and memories, it diminishes, but the values that we hold there, that never diminishes.
Talk to me about coming on as a sponsor. Why did Qualcare decide to come on as a sponsor for the Roper Cup?
Well, Qualcare, it's a quality product, and we wanted to introduce the drink to the athletic population. It's a good quality drink. Interest is nutrition you can trust, and that is where our interest is. It's primarily Qualcare, the parent company, is primarily a pharmaceutical company. But they say an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. And with good nutrition, you can delay the onset of illnesses that would otherwise occur. So in trust, nutrition you can trust. And Qualcare is proud to be associated with the Roper Cup.
KC has done pretty well so far in the other divisions that have gone so far, with the over 35 still happening now and the Manning Cup matches to come. Who are you betting on?
Well, I'm not a betting man. My heart is with Kingston College, unapologetically so. But more important is for the fraternity, the St. George's and the KC fraternity, to come together, have a good time. I say at the launch, the organizer of this year's competition said it's unparalleled or unheard of anywhere else in the world. Not only Jamaica, where two such great institutions are less than 100 meters apart, and that is Kingston College on the southern side and St. George's on the northern side. But we are two great institutions and we work well together, not only in sports, but also in Labor Day we do joint projects together, pedestrian crossings, and activities that are not necessarily in the limelight, but are just as important as building friendship and friendly rivalry.
So it's more than just rivalry, it's brotherhood.
Yes, of course, because in the end when we leave school, we have to live with each other, and both institutions, our primary aim is to build good gentlemen with sound manners and know how to cooperate with each other, and that should augur well for the wider society.
joining me now to talk a little bit about his match is the MVP from the under-35 division of the competition, Sanjay Mathura. He plays for St. George's College. Sanjay, welcome to Business Access Television. How are you doing?
I'm alright, thanks for having me.
All right, great. Tell us a little bit about your match today.
Well, my match was very competitive, sun was hot and an enjoyable game.
You scored the goal, so you were the MVP. That makes you feel a little special, right?
Yeah, very special, because it was a wonderful goal, awesome goal from the top of the 18, watching the ball go into the top corner, so it was a very special moment.
What does playing in the Europa Cup means to you as an individual player?
Well, I always display a lot of passion for the blue and white, so it's always good rivalry with KC, although we're brothers across the street, but it's a great deal of history and a lot of football games between each other and very competitive games, glory and defeat, so it means a lot.
Do you think the rivalry between Kingston College and St. George's College makes each team stronger?
Definitely, it makes each team stronger because each year, one winning, one losing or drawing, everybody learns from it and we move forward in our competition.
If somebody is asking why, because you're in the under 35 division, and I figure when you become over 35, you will want to still be playing. For those who are asking, why do you continue to do this?
Well, it's the love of the game, the passion and the love for your school, and you come out and have fun on this day, you come to Stadium East or if it's at George's, and you just come out and have fun, and you see old friends from way back when. It's just fun.
So it's a day of building brotherhood and camaraderie and all of that?
Yes, year after year, because it's already there, so it's just year after year continuing the structure and everything that's good about this day and the Europa Cup.
You played several Europa Cups. Tell me, what was one of your most memorable moments over the years?
Well, I'll definitely remember this one because I scored, but there's so many moments I could go on and on to tell you. But there's a lot of good Europa Cups that I've been through.
This event epitomizes what true spirit of friendly rivalry is about. And we hope that the camaraderie between the right side of North Street and the other side of North Street will continue.
We take a break here on Business Access Television's coverage of Europa Cup 2019. More when we return.
Crow Jamaica Risk Management Services, RMS. Risk management has become indispensable to a company's business operations and management strategy in this complex environment nowadays. Crow Jamaica risk management experts help to turn every risk into an opportunity. We are experienced in providing customized solutions to manage risks and increase transparency and accountability of the companies. Our core services include internal audit, internal control review, corporate governance, corporate compliance, etc. Our team can help you make smarter, more effective decisions. Let's have a conversation. Contact us at email people@crowjm.com, website www.crowjm.com.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Welcome Welcome back to Business Access Television's coverage of Europa Cup 2019. We're in the final segment of our highlights package, and the Manning Cup match is on the field. That's between Kingston College and St. George's College. Let's check out some highlights. So we caught up with another MVP. This time it's the MVP for the under 16 division of the competition, Jaheim Johnson. Now he scored 3 goals in KC's 3-1 win over St. George's. Congratulations, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, how's the match for you?
It was very hard because of a shoulder injury. I just stayed in the match and do what a coach said.
Hold on, so the shoulder injury, you scored 3 goals. So if you never have the shoulder injury, how much goal did you score?
I don't really know. I just go there and did my best.
What was it like beating St. George's?
It was very challenging, and it just boosts my confidence to go in the competition and do my best.
Being a part of something with such great tradition such as the Europa Cup, what does it mean for you as a young player being a part of this, where you see so many players from years gone by? You have the Manning Cup team participating, you have masters who are over 35 participating, and you in your own right standing out. How does that make you feel?
That made me feel very happy to see the legend of KC playing, and plus myself playing amongst my opponents, St. George's, and my teammates. Made me feel very happy.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the future. You're a young player with a bright future. What are your plans? I assume you're playing Colts now, so you want to move on to Manning Cup and probably the national team?
Yes, that's my future, to play for Jamaica, to represent my country.
And what would that mean for you to don the colors of Jamaica?
It would mean a lot to me because I'm trying from I was 12 years old playing under 30. I'm doing it for me, my dad, and my family.
Matthew Wilson now joins us. He's the MVP for the under 14 division of today's Europa Cup 2019. Matthew, thanks so much for joining us here on Business Access. How are you?
I'm great.
All right, tell us a little bit about your match. KC won 4-1.
Yeah. Match is very great, kind of competitive most of the times, but I still pull through great.
All right, I take it your teammates were happy with the victory and being victorious over St. George's?
Yes, we're very pleased with the victory and the performance.
To tell me a little bit about your personal feelings, or how do you feel to be a part of the Europa Cup 2019?
I feel very great be a part of Europa Cup because it's a nice competition to play. It's great.
Last season, you're a part of Kingston College Pepsi team. Last season, you guys did pretty well. You're looking forward to the next season and doing better?
Last year, I wasn't playing much game because I was injured. So this year, I'm looking forward to do a great job.
We're now here with Shantamoy Taylor. He is the MVP of the Manning Cup match, and he's representing St. George's College. Shantamoy, thank you so much for joining us here on Business Access Television. How was the match for you?
The match was a great match. I played in patches, but I delivered to my team.
Walk me through the entire game and going up against Kingston College. How were you feeling?
I was feeling a little nervous coming out in the game while the game was playing, and then I started to relax and play my game.
Was it difficult playing against Kingston College? No, well, they had lots of supporters here, so was that at all intimidating?
Yeah, a little bit because a lot of fans and being nice and talking. Okay.
Looking forward to the Manning Cup season. What are you expecting?
I'm expecting to play to my quality and play some good football.
And that's how we wrap up our highlights package of Europa Cup 2019, the football festival between Kingston College and St. George's College from the Stadium East Field. I'm your host, Kenil Gale. We hope you enjoyed our coverage. Pleasant viewing.
Cameo brings the creative industries to life, highlighting creatives in different fields each week. Art.
My life surrounds art. I breathe, I eat art.
Fashion. Food.
Without a customer, we're nothing but four walls.
Music. Film. Cameo, only on Business Access TV.
It's arguably the most significant invention to come out of Jamaica in the last 2 decades. A medical doctor, a mechanical engineer, and a computer scientist used technology to develop a way to train heart surgeons across the globe more efficiently. The heart simulator developed at the UWI Mona is now being used by several universities across the world to train surgeons. Professor Daniel Kaur, who worked on the project, says after shelving the first prototype and moving on to other projects, he and the other inventors involved received a call that would change everything.
So in late 2007, we heard from Dr. Richard Fiennes, who was at the time chairman of the American Board of Thoracic Surgery. He had seen a video that had been released along with a paper that we had published. And in the video, we were just showing a small clip of what the heart looked like while, in operation, in use. And he wrote to Dr. Ramphal, basically did a little internet search, tried to find him, sort of located an email address for him at UWI, by which time he had already left UWI, and wrote him and said, I saw this video, is it real? Because if that's real, I'd love to come to UWI to see it, and would you be willing to set it up for us, because we are examining possible simulation environment scenarios for the cardiac surgery training, and this is something that we would like to sort of take a look at just to see what it can do and whether it's good for us.
After some persuasion, the team decided to go to the University of North Carolina to set up the prototype.
First time set up, right? So all these prominent heart surgeons had just come in to take a look at what's going on, and everybody was kind of blown away at just how realistic the heart beating was, and how realistic the whole environment was. So they took out the video footage and took that to their annual meeting that year at the Society of Thoracic Surgeons. And with that video at that meeting, just sort of, caught the eye of everybody who was at that symposium that year. And that ended up getting us invited to technology symposium for cardiothoracic surgery. And we got re-invited year after year.
Soon after that, the UWI Mona developed heart simulator was a sought-after tool when it came to training heart surgeons.
It then got to a point where other places wanted one. They kept saying, how can we get one of these at our institution? So it was kind of around that time, that was started around 2009, that we started talking about how to get multiple ones of these. And by around 2011, we'd actually built them. So in that interim, we had negotiations, sort of thought about how to sort of make it a little more structured and sort of help ourselves get to the point where we could be talking to people who might want a license.
The simulator then ended up in some of the top medical schools in North America, revolutionizing the way heart surgeons were being trained.
Harvard's Mass General Hospital, University of Rochester, there was a University of North Carolina, Johns Hopkins, Vanderbilt, Mayo Clinic, University of Washington, and Stanford.
This was the first time ever heart surgeons in training were being exposed to real-life circumstances.
Kind of what I mentioned before, where you might have the pig's heart in a bowl, or I suppose if you're working with a cadaver, which is going to be realistic, but it's a dead person, but nothing where the heart is, or actually a live pig. That is the closest that you could come if you wanted to get a full-blown operating room scenario where you are standing around, there's a apparently living, beating heart, and you have to give the right instructions, and you have somebody controlling a pump, somebody controlling anesthesia, and then you have your partner in front of you, you're supposed to be giving the right instructions, and you're learning not just the specific procedures, but also the management of your team. The only way you could really reconstruct that without having a real patient on the table was a live pig. That was the closest you could come. So what our simulator was providing these guys with was a context in which they could reconstruct any scenario they wanted, when they wanted, at the time they wanted. So from the purpose of teaching, if today's lesson was to teach you something that hardly ever happened, they could make sure it's scheduled what's going to happen because you could set the simulator up to deliver that. So for them, that was a great opportunity to change how training in cardiac surgery could work, right? And at the same time, you're getting this high fidelity model, right? So you're not putting any patients at risk. You have this model that looks real. It bleeds when you cut it. It has a pressure. It shows you a computer trace that looks like it's a real trace on a monitor. So for all intents and purposes, just because you set it up, it's not real. But for all intents and purposes, it looks like a patient on the table.
The heart simulator has not only used technology to totally revolutionize the way heart surgeons are trained, but it is also helping to better equip surgeons to deal with real-life situations in real time.
There are some well-rehearsed procedures, as in over time, they've developed some procedures to respond to a particular kind of emergency. But if you as a resident only get trained via the operating room, then the only scenarios that you become familiar with are the ones that you see. Now, of course, if you see 100 cases, 200 cases, then they start thinking, okay, you're ready, you're competent, you can go, and you are going to be certified as capable of practice on your own. But what if the scenario that we're worried about isn't one that occurs so frequently? It might be 1 in 1,000 cases, it might be 1 in 2,000 cases. Those are still potentially life-threatening. You still want somebody who's gonna now become an attending to know how to deal with them. And in the old situation, before our simulator, the only way they would have really gotten that exposure is through a textbook or somebody telling them, if you ever encounter this is what you're supposed to do. So it's kind of a hypothetical, and the response is really a kind of theoretical response, or it's a hypothetical one anyway. With a simulator, we can now say, okay, next week's lesson is going to be how you deal with this. And I can tell you what you must do, and I can set up the simulator to make that emergency occur. So while you're doing your thing, suddenly something happens, and you say, what's going on? And it's for you to A, recognize that there's that emergency going on, and then B, act appropriately. So you can actually now practice that, which is not something that you could have done easier before.
The heart simulator is the first UE patent to be commercialized, and with the recent commitment from Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke to pump more government resources into research and development, it is hoped that more patented inventions coming out of the University of the West Indies can be commercialized.
Caring Hands Season 3 continues to effect change in a changing environment.
Many of us were raised by grandmothers, right? So, we know the wisdom that these people have.
Going beyond business.
the little leaders of today are our leaders of tomorrow. And with the proper education, we'll have very good leadership coming from that.
That's season 3 of Caring Hands, creating change and shaping lives, every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Why do we travel? What is it exactly that excites us so? You know, traveling is not just about seeing new landscapes, but about interacting with new people and experiencing different cultures. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I am Theodore Henry. This week's program kicks off with health as Get the Facts tackles vector control measures. Stay tuned as the magazine unfolds.
Hurricanes can strike at any time. In the event of one, be prepared to act quickly. If a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, review your home disaster response plan. Map out likely routes to evacuate if your home is at risk and confirm with relatives or friends you plan to stay with. Also, confirm the location of the nearest shelter. Check your emergency supplies and restock if necessary. Remember, disasters do happen, so be prepared.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness officially launched its Enhanced Vector Control Program in August as it continues the fight against mosquito-borne illnesses. Here to tell us more is the program's manager, Shireen Huntley-Jones.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Nanthros Campbell. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has increased activities under its vector control program in a bid to reduce the mosquito population and breeding sites. An island-wide campaign is ongoing, and Shireen Huntley-Jones, program manager for the vector control program, is our guest today. Mrs. Huntley-Jones, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Good. Please tell us, what are the activities under the Vector Control Program and what are the coordinated initiatives that are used to deal with these activities?
All right. Every year during the months of June to September, the ministry enhances its Vector Control Program. And what this means, in addition to our ongoing routine activities, we employ over 1,000 temporary workers to augment the activities on the ground. The ministry enhances its program during this time of the year because for Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean, if you're going to have an outbreak of one of our arboviruses, be it dengue or Zika virus or chikungunya, it tends to occur during the months of October to January of the following year. And so we enhance our program 3 months prior to, in an effort to reduce the possibility of that outbreak. So during the months of June to August, September, we take on 1,000 workers who are trained and deployed right across the island in all our 13 parishes in what we call our high-risk areas to carry out various activities.
So the activities would include?
So they are tasked with 3 main responsibilities.
Yes.
One, they are to build awareness at the community level. In fact, the persons are selected from their own community, so they're familiar with the householders. So they're to build awareness. Secondly, they're asked to look for and destroy breeding sites. And for those breeding sites that they find that they cannot destroy, then they are also trained to treat those breeding sites.
Yes. Well, tell us about the importance of the program and like some of the risks that would be posed to persons who are exposed to mosquito bites and so on.
So as we know, there are 3 endemic mosquito-borne diseases now in Jamaica.
And they're now endemic?
Yes, means that we have them all the time. So since 2014, we have had chikungunya, which is now endemic. Since 2016, Zika has been endemic. And of course, we have always had dengue. So we have 3 vector-borne diseases,
yes,
mosquito-borne diseases that are endemic.
Yes.
And they're all arboviruses.
Right. And talk to us about the training for the persons who are employed under this program.
So the employment of the 1,000 persons have become a part of our overall vector control program. And so we wanted to have a cohort of person that we can select from every year that is very knowledgeable about the program. So in 2016, when our Honorable Minister, Dr. Tufton, came on, he asked that not only should we employ the persons, but to have them trained. And so we have been collaborating with Heart NTA in the training and certification of these programs. And an entire program was developed for this category of workers. And so approximately 800 have been trained so far and certified. And we will continue to do this because, as you know, persons leave the program, they become employed otherwise, or they go to school. So as we get new persons in, we continue through the collaboration with Heart NTA to train them.
Right. Now, these vector control aids, as you call them,
right.
Talk to us about which communities they're going to and so on.
Okay, so we have deployed them to what we call our high-risk communities. So based on our historical data in terms of Aedes aegypti infestation, based on our historical data relating to transmission of cases, based on what we call some environmental parameters, we have determined high-risk communities, areas in which we're likely to have transmission.
Yes.
And so the workers have been deployed to those communities. We have identified since 2018 534 of those communities, and so the workers are deployed right across the island in those 534 communities.
Yes.
In addition to those communities, they are working in our urban centers, they are working in our markets and some other critical areas that we're likely to see transmission in.
Tell us about some of the breeding sites. Where are some of the places that you'll find breeding sites mostly?
So you know that we have always said that the Aedes aegypti mosquito is a domesticated mosquito. In fact, we do have another vector of the 3 viruses in Jamaica. It's called Aedes albopictus. So we have 2 vectors now in Jamaica that are able to transmit these 3 diseases. And they're domesticated mosquitoes, meaning that they're found breeding in and around where we live, play, and work in containers. And so the containers that we're finding that are most prominent in our Jamaican setting is the 45 to 55 gallon drum. Every household seems to have a 45, 55 gallon drum, and those are our main breeding sites. Tires are our second, and you know, the small containers that lie around the home tend to lend themselves to breeding as well.
Right. So if people have to have these drums, what should they do to prevent the mosquitoes from breeding?
Right. So the first strategy that we ask persons to do is to cover those drums. Once the drums are covered, then the mosquito will not have access to breeding. We do understand that there are communities that they do not have piped water, and so they collect water from rainfall. So there is a resistance in covering. So we ask that you cover with a meshed material that allows the water to go in but will prevent the mosquito to go in. There's another strategy that they can use, just a little oil and pour a little oil on the surface of the water. What this does, it suffocates the immature stage of the mosquito, and so you won't have adults coming through.
Right. So how are the communities reacting to your work in the various areas? How are they reacting?
It's a mixed reaction. We have seen not much behavior change as it relates to the management of our water container, which is very disappointing to us. Because as I said before, the Aedes aegypti and the Aedes albopictus mosquito, they only tend to breed in these containers that are found in and around where we are. And if persons begin to take action to deal and manage properly with these containers, then we will see a reduction in the transmission of these diseases. So we're not seeing the levels of behavior change that we would like to see. In addition, there seems to be a little bit resistance of having our workers come into the homes. They have reported to us some violent activities against them. Some persons have been refusing to let them inside. And so this is also hampering our ability to be impactful as we would like to be.
Right, so people are hostile, which means they don't understand the work that you're doing, they don't value it.
Yes.
And so what are you going to do about that?
So the Ministry of Health, having received this report, we're going to be doing an educational campaign to explain to persons why the workers are there, why the workers need to access the home, because they need to come inside to search and to be able to point out to the householder where the issues are. So it's very important. So we're going to be engaged in a media campaign explaining the importance of having the workers access the home environment.
Yes. Let's take a break now, and we'll continue with more information on the Ministry of Health and Wellness Vector Control Program. Please stay with us.
If you no want pop down and fenke, you fi burn mosquito and run with dengue. So no make water cycle in open container. For them to read up under the danger. Usher them out, run them away. Slap them with the zapper and down them with spray. Use mosquito net and mosquito screen. Protect your household, now make them come in. If you know want pop down and fenke. If you burn mosquito and run with dengue. If pain lick your head and your joints and your eye, and you want fever meat and your temperature high, it could be dengue, don't hesitate. See a doctor, don't self-medicate. For some painkiller can make you bleed and you will try to recover and no succeed. We no want pop down and fenke. We fi burn mosquito and run with dengue.
A message from the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back to Get the Facts with Shireen Huntley-Jones, Program Manager for the Vector Control Program in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Tell us, so the fogging has been going on.
Yes.
How often do you do it, and how do you decide on the communities?
Well, under our enhanced program, fogging activity takes place every night. So we're fogging 7 days per week. We are focused based in areas depending on two things: the levels of the mosquito infestation and also from where we are getting reports of cases. So the schedule is made up based on those two parameters, and the activity is carried out every night. They're carried out every night.
Every night, where? How
Right
many?
across
Right
across the country in all our 13 parishes. There's fogging.
Oh, all right. Speak to us about how the fogging is done and what should we be doing while this activity is taking place.
Right, so the fogging is done during the times of what we call dusk, just in that gray period. We tend to do it at that time because a lot of the species of mosquitoes that we want to target are very active at that time. However, the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which we know is a day-biting mosquito, by the time it gets dark, that mosquito tends to be sheltered. It's gone into rest.
Yes.
And so it's inside under our cupboards, in our closets, it's hiding. And so when our fogging teams are coming through, you would hear the Ministry of Health say, open your windows and doors. There is a reason for that, because the Aedes aegypti, it's on the inside. And so you have to allow the fog to drift on the inside to be able to get to the Aedes aegypti mosquito. And so once our teams are coming through, in the evenings, we have to open our windows and doors because the Aedes aegypti mosquito is not very active in flight at that moment.
It's not active, so it's but if it's not active, then it's not biting.
Oh, well, that's an interesting thing, though,
Yes.
because what we tend to do when we get home, the first thing we do is turn on the lights on the inside. Yes. So once we turn on the artificial light, she becomes active. But if the environment is dark, Aedes aegypti tends to go into rest.
Okay. So you've spoken about how communities are hostile to you, but how engaged are the communities in these activities? Are you getting what kind of level of engagement?
It really does vary from community to community and from parish to parish. I think what we would like to say, that we'd like to see the community more involved and engaged. I visited a country, Brazil, on a workshop, and they had a system in place where the communities have actually formed a partnership with the Ministry of Health, and it's the community members that are monitoring their neighbors. So they do not have vector control workers from the Ministry of Health visiting the homes, but their neighbors are visiting the homes and then making the reports to the Ministry of Health. And I found that it was quite successful. I think we'd like to see more of that here in Jamaica, where the community takes a responsibility, where community members are actually doing the inspection and the reporting. And so there's ownership. So I think we'd like to see more ownership of the program at the community level.
That means more interaction with the public then.
Definitely,
right.
definitely.
So we had a massive outbreak of chickpea in 2014.
Yes.
Tell us, what are the lessons learned?
What we found since the outbreak of chikungunya in 2014 and with Zika in 2016, that there are a lot of factors lending to the breeding of mosquitoes in and around our environment. We've also learned that behavior change is not a short-term objective, but it is a long-term objective. And so in light of that, the Ministry of Health has been looking at its public awareness campaigns and its behavior change program with a view of implementing strategies that will help us to achieve our behavior change objectives, which is simply to get persons to properly manage their breeding, the breeding containers in and around their environment. I think another lesson that we learned from chikungunya and from Zika is that partnership with our stakeholders and our sister agencies is very critical.
Yes.
A lot of the factors that lend themselves to the breeding of mosquitoes, it's outside of the mandate of the Ministry of Health to address. And so we have to have what we call a joint-up approach with all government, all stakeholders, to be able to tackle successfully the factors that lend themselves to breeding. And so out of the both outbreaks, I think we have a stronger collaborative approach in dealing with the disease in Jamaica. In fact, we have one of the greatest models in the Caribbean, if I can say that. And so we have been working closely with our sister agencies, such as the National Solid Waste Management Authority. We work closely with Parish Council and the National Works Agency in dealing with the issues that lend themselves to the breeding of the mosquitoes.
Yes. We're approaching the dengue period, and already we have some confirmed cases.
Indeed.
Tell us, what can we do as a nation to prevent having more dengue cases? So we need to look, you tell us how to treat or what we're to do.
Before I get into the strategies, I want us to have an understanding, a greater understanding about dengue and the epidemiology of dengue. Over the years, we have treated dengue at the household level. Like the common flu, you get dengue, you feel a little better, and then it's gone. But what we have seen in our last recent outbreaks is that we're having increased hospitalization and unfortunately increased death. And this is just not in Jamaica, this is across the Caribbean. And this is so because in our region, we have had all 4 serotypes of dengue circulating. And that means that most of us would have been exposed to having dengue more than once. And it is proven that once you've had dengue twice or more, you're predisposed to becoming severely ill each time you get it. Right, and so our population has been exposed to all 4 serotypes. So we're seeing increasing cases. Against that background, we have to take action. We cannot continue to treat dengue as the common cold that you just get over. We're seeing that our children are being affected, and we're seeing deaths. And any death, it's just one death is unacceptable to us at the Ministry of Health. And so there is a call to action from the ministry to the population that we have to begin to manage our environment in a way that it will not cause us to become ill.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. And we know now that once you have dengue, it doesn't mean that's the only time. You can have it again. So you need to take care of yourselves and your communities. This has been Get the Facts with our guest, Shereen Huntley-Jones, Program Manager for the Vector Control Program in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. To watch this program again, log on to our social media handle, YouTube/WatchJIS, and stay connected via our website at jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Anthros Campbell. Take care.
When you're on the road, take your time. When you're on the road, bear this in mind. When you're on the road, you could save a life when you're on the road.
Known as the home of the fastest man in the world, as well as the place where you can get some good yam, Trelawney has so much to offer. Let's go on a journey.
In Trelawney, there's a little of this and a little of that. So all you have to do is come discover and experience.
Okay. Rafting on the Matabele River is part of the offerings here in Trelawney. So when next you're in the parish, come on down. Captain JK, take it away.
Yeah, man. No lele.
We don't play, this is how we stay. Everything gotta be okay.
High five.
Blessed. Yeah, man.
So how long you have been doing this for?
I've been doing this over 2 decades now.
Oh, 20 years.
So I know this stuff quite well, you know?
Okay.
But actually we're on the rapids now, you know?
Wait, stop. We can't end this moment so soon. No, sir. Hold this frame for a little while till we go check out some other places and come back.
Welcome to Falmouth All-Age School, once the home of Fort Belcaris. This fort was built in 1811. It was built to protect the harbour and the town of Falmouth. Falmouth in those days was a boom town, boomy, it had a lot of money, and so persons would like to come in and plunder, so this was built. Soldiers were housed in the building at the back, and they were the ones who were manning the fort.
And this is where the armory was stored.
Now, in later years, the fort was used no more, and so in 1902, it became the Falmouth All-Age School.
Now check out this almond tree. It is said to have been around before or from the days of Fort Belcaris, which means it is well over 200 years.
This mill behind me here is a relic of the slave plantation and of the sugar production when sugar was king in the 18th century. It is part of a large estate called Holland Estate. The thing about it is, this property no longer belongs to a slave holder, no longer belongs to a sugar plantation, but is actually the site of William Knibb Memorial High School, named after the famous emancipator, William Knibb. It is quite ironic that in a place where slavery thrived and our forefathers suffered, now sits an institution of learning for the descendants of those very same slaves. Ironic, isn't it?
It's all about the nightlife here in Trelawney as well, where you can experience the colorful transformation of the glistening waters luminous lagoon. To capture this part of my tour, I had to start the night before.
We do nightly boat rides. You can come on down and see the flashes of light once the water is being disturbed. We are the only natural night attraction in Jamaica, and it is also known as the world's famous luminous lagoon.
We had a magical experience tonight. It was a great time. Highly recommend it. We'll definitely be back.
It's nothing like it in the world. I've never seen anything like this. So, awesome time.
Glistening waters to the world.
You see why you have to come to Trelawney? And if bargain is what you want, then Bend Down is the place to be. What go on, my friend? All right, tell me, what's so popular about Bend Down?
Bend Down, everybody can come here, so can get cheap goods, cheap clothes, everything.
Oh, so how you get the name Bend Down?
People from all over Ireland, just come here, so they just throw down their things anywhere and sell.
Oh, and people used to have to just bend down and pick
people
up the
just
stuff
bend down
and
and
things
take up
there.
anything.
All right, so I'm here for some bargain, so maybe I should bend down and pick up mine. Bargain for real. $100, another 100, another 100, 300, and I'm going for more. All right, thanks. All right, thanks here.
I like my Paris Trelawney because the water is so cool, it's been cool and nice. And I like the environment is so clean and the new market is so amazing. That's why I love my Paris Trelawney. Big up Trelawney.
Here's more about this parish.
all about peace and tranquility, ambience and relaxation, you know. Yeah, man. Bless up.
After a long day exploring Trelawney, this is the perfect end. Just relaxing on the Martha Gray River. Until next time, when I catch you around the bend. Later.
In spite of all our differences, along with all our problems, I believe. And despite the crime and violence and men and women dying, I believe. From the boots of Dauphin Mountains, let all our voices ring. Oh, I believe. I believe that we can make a change and spread a belief of hope across our country. I believe that we can join our hands and make a difference in Jamaica. I believe. There's nothing wrong with Jamaica. The God makes it what is right. Oh, I believe. And regardless of our struggles, we can rise again. Oh, I believe. Others believe in us, but we must also sing. Oh, I believe. I believe that we can make a change and spread a belief of hope across our country. I believe that we can join our hands and make a difference in Jamaica. I believe. I believe. The steam in every paper, X in every classroom, I believe. Oh, priests in all our churches, God in all our homes, I believe. Yes, let's claim our nation and start a reformation, I believe. I believe that we can make a change and spread a belief of hope across our country. I believe that we can join our hands and make a difference in Jamaica. I believe that we can make a change and spread a belief of hope across our country. I believe that we can join our hands and make a difference in Jamaica. I believe. I believe. I
Thanks for watching another edition of Jamaica Magazine. Join us again tomorrow when we'll do this all over again. Send your feedback on today's show to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm. Also, you can follow us on our social media pages, that's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Download our app on your Apple and Android devices, and you can also visit our website at jis.gov.jm for more information. On behalf of the entire production crew, I am Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
I'm Adam Stewart. This is Business Access TV, serious about business.
Oftentimes, we see the end product of a development, from that breathtaking beachfront property to that striking single-family home, or even that majestic townhouse or apartment. But have you ever considered the process before the product? It's another week of Home Sweet Home with me, your host, Candy. Let's take you on a journey from concept to reality of a development. Hi, here from Home Sweet Home.
Hi Candy.
Hi Raymond, good to see you again.
Welcome, welcome. All right, so today we're going to go through on a little tour.
This is
nice. Your safety gears, safety at all times.
Yes.
Essentially, this is our site plan.
Right.
This is the proper orientation of it.
Right.
So there's the pool right there. It's actually 1,300 square feet.
Wow, that's a good size. Raymond Grant is the project manager for this development. Now, Raymond, where exactly are we right now?
All right, right now we are in the Golden Triangle, 1 Gladstone Drive, Kingston 6.
Kingston
One
6.
of the most
sought after
areas now for apartments especially.
Now, I want to get a complete understanding of the development of a development.
Sure.
So the background process, all the legal things that you probably have to go through, give us a sense of what that's like.
So this project is called Richesse Chateau. It's a French concept. Richesse meaning wealth and chateau meaning like a grand manor or a castle. So we're trying to replicate that. But before we got to that point, we had to first understand if the market could accommodate such a development, if the market has a demand based on the time period that the project would be delivered to be able to satisfy. So at the end of the project, at the very least, we would have potential purchasers who would actually purchase to make the project a reality. So the process of actually doing a development like this first starts with understanding the ability of getting a buyer who has an appreciation for the types of finishing that you're going to be putting in the market. Persons who want high quality, they tend to go for smaller complexes. So what it does is that it limits the amount of persons that are residing in that one space, because in a strata development, it's really more like a communal living. So the concept here is a communal living, but you have your own designated space.
Right.
So we went about checking out, doing our research, understanding what were persons looking for. They wanted high ceilings, they wanted 10-foot ceilings, they wanted tray ceilings, they wanted recessed lighting, they wanted audio in their ceilings, they wanted speakers to project sound down, right? In addition to that, in terms of the finishing, in terms of the type of tiles. So what we did is that we went ahead and we actually imported tiles from Spain as samples. and
Wow.
Egypt. So what we are actually bringing on the market now is something that has never been seen before. We have the ability to scope in terms of from a pool of potential purchasers what they want, and what we are able to do based on that is actually bring the purchaser into the process to determine the finishing that they want on the units. So it's essentially tailor-made. So what we do is maintain the quality. Even though we bring the buyer in, we maintain the quality of the product that we are putting out.
So you've obviously done your market research.
Right.
What would you say is the importance of location in the development?
One of the most important factors for a developer is, will the developer be able to connect into the central sewage system? The National Environment and Planning Agency, they regulate how the urban space is expanded, right? Location has necessary elements to it. You have to be able to provide a certain amount of parking. You have to be able to provide a certain amount of amenity space for your purchasers. For a developer to be able to maximize on his output, he has to try and find a location where he can get connection to a central sewer. Because if he's not able to connect to a central sewer, then he has to set aside additional space on the property to do an on-site sewage treatment, which requires a certain amount of space by the authorities. So that automatically reduces the amount of units that a developer can get. So the location and the ability to have the sewage in particular gives the developer a better opportunity to get returns on his investment, right? So that is something that's very important, because for most of us as developers, we have to write to the National Environment and Planning Agency or the KCAC as well for them to guide us as to how many units we may get on a particular lot. Because in addition to that, there is a zoning plan that NEPA has. So in terms of what we call a habitable room ratio, that is a measurement done based on the acreage. So we go from as low as, in the more rural areas, we would say like 20 habitable rooms per acre. So that's the maximum amount of habitable rooms that you may get, on average 30. But as you get closer into the heart of the city, for example in New Kingston, you can get up to 150 habitable rooms per acre. So again, the location element is very important there.
Now, living in these modern times, what kind of considerations do you have to make when building these things?
You have to understand that the market is competitive. It's not a case where you're the only developer out there. You are putting out a product. That product has to compete with other products, so you have to ensure that your product is a step ahead, or that there's a minimum bar that you set, that you maintain that throughout the process. So in doing development, no terrazzo. We have to go for the exquisite tiles. And even if you are doing a lower end development that caters to persons of a lower median income, you still have a minimum that you'll go. For example, for our units, all our units are pre-fitted with services for laundry, air conditioning, and all the essential services, the cable, the internet, and so on. Every unit has access, right, to 400 gallons of water.
Okay, wow.
Right? That's run separately for them. So if for whatever reason the National Water Commission is down for a day or two, you can get that.
So this is the modern day version of a tank?
Essentially. But the tank is not as would be traditional.
Right, that's what I mean. It's not the...
It's this, guys, you would never know where it is.
So it's not the big black tank we see up on
You will
top
never
of the
know
roof
where
there.
it is. And I won't tell you where it is, but it is on site, right? So we have that. Separately, standby generator. Typical of a lot of developments now, you will have a standby generator, but it only accommodates the common areas, for lighting for the common areas. But in terms of our development that we're doing now, you get a standby generator that goes into your unit and gives power to your refrigerator and power to your bedroom and so on. Just to note, as a developer, if he's going 4 stories or more, there's a new regulation now by the fire department, and that developer now has to put in a fire suppression system in order to get his plan approved. So that's like a sprinkler system. So the more you go as a developer now, the regulations will basically be adjusted, and you have to be able to stay in the know as a developer with the local authorities to ensure that you are not breaching any of the regulations that they have set up.
Wow, that's really a lot of information, but I know we have more coming, right?
Absolutely.
So stay with us, there's more Home Sweet Home after the break.
Have you seen it? It's BATV Live. Live streams of business news weekdays at 7:30 p.m. Stay on point Thursdays at 8 p.m. with our Business Current Affairs show, and Weekend Business Report Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. wherever you are. Log on to our Facebook page at Business Access TV or visit our website at batvja.com. Live and at your fingertips. Business Access TV. Serious about business.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to Home Sweet Home. We're still talking with Raymond Grant about his Gladstone Drive development and, of course, from concept to completion of this project. Now, you've touched on this a little in one of your previous answers, but I've always heard about the number of approvals you have to get before starting a development. Give us a little more about that.
It's a very complicated process, but for those of us who know and understand, you may see a development as an individual from the aspect of the construction. It may be a year, maybe 2 years, but prior to getting that construction started, there is a approvals process that starts from the developer acquires, prepares his drawings, submits them to the whichever respective local authority depending on the parish that he is in. If you are a developer doing 9 units or less, then you would just submit your plans directly to the KCAC and be approved from the KCAC only. If you're doing 10 units or more, when you submit to the KCAC, those plans are forwarded to the National Environment and Plan Agency. They're scrutinized more in terms of the process, because NEPA then in turn circulates these plans to a lot of other agencies, as much as 12 additional agencies, to assess sewage, to assess your parking, to assess your ingress egress for your cars coming in, different aspects. They go to the Mines and Geology Division to assess your rock formation. So there's a complete process that goes on for the approvals, and depending on what information you provided in your application and depending on the type of design that you have, they may require additional information, additional testing, soil tests. So a lot goes into that aspect of just that aspect of the process.
We just did the construction. I
You
think
just did the construction and think that's it. Good.
A long time coming.
And then separately and apart from that, when you actually get an approval by the local authority, you then have to assess what was approved and assess your certificate of title to see if you need to modify any of the covenants on your certificate of title. And that process is a process that goes through the Supreme Courts. And that is a minimum of 90 days by itself. When you go through that process, provided that you get approved by the courts to make changes or modifications to accommodate development, then you would go to the real estate board to get approved by the real estate board. And for us as developers, we endeavor to get approved by the real estate board because that is the time when we can actually engage purchasers and get deposits from purchasers and so on. And those deposits are protected by the act under which the real estate board operates. So in terms of that process where you have the local authorities coming up the line, essentially making sure that everything is, you know, how it is supposed to be, we come right up onto the point where we have our full set of approvals, and then we engage and get into the aspect of construction.
Based on how comprehensive that process is, it would seem that you need a lot of people, a lot of professionals here to assist with the development.
Right, absolutely. We start off essentially by engaging a physical planner, an urban planner, somebody who understands density, understands what we are able to get as a developer. Having conducted our own market research, where sometimes we have to hire a market research firm to make that determination as to what is best for the area, what is best, what is the demand now on the market, and so on. So we have an architect that we would engage, and then we have engineers, and not just a civil engineer in terms of the design for the building, in terms of the structural integrity of the building, but we also have mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineers. They're called MEPs, that do specific designs for each building, each unit, to ensure that, for example, on the electrical engineering aspect, the loads that are being generated can be handled based on the system that is designed. So, for example, our developments bring in a certain amount of standby electricity to each unit, requires us speccing a larger grade standby generator, as opposed to if we were just providing common area lighting. The electrical aspect of it is tied into the plumbing as well. So our plumbing engineer sets up that system for us, because we know that above 2 floors, we are not getting more than 50 psi in terms of the water pressure for the units. So we have to have a specific system design that is able to provide a certain amount of water pressure for units as you go 3-4 floors up. So these professionals, in terms of the design aspect, they also work together to bring that design to life. Then separately and apart, we have to have our land surveyor that assesses in terms of our boundary surveys, our topographic surveys. They set up the levels in terms of how we're going to set up the floor level for the building, because the land may not be flat. And also, that surveyor does what is called a strata plan. So when the units are complete in an apartment complex, that surveyor comes in and prepares a plan to capture all those units, right? So that we can get the title splintered to generate individual titles for the new units. And that's where the attorney at law also comes in to undertake the modification process that I had mentioned earlier. So the attorney at law would undertake, of course, aspects of the acquisition of the property. And then throughout the process, in terms of the contracts with the potential purchasers, in terms of doing the strata aspect, getting the parent title splintered and so on. So we have the attorney at law engaged there. In addition to that, we also have the quantity surveyor, who is the QS, as we call him. The quantity surveyor, they assess the cost of the building in terms of blocks, sand, cement, gravel, labor materials, and all those essentials. So when the architect designs a plan, then we put that plan over to the quantity surveyor, and the quantity surveyor will say, okay, this is the cost. This is the cost to build, and it includes every nail and screw for the building. This is an example for the project that we are now of quantities for this project and what it entails. It's a huge document, and like I said, it includes all the essentials of the project. It covers every aspect from where construction is concerned. So all the costs for the project are contained in here. So this is our budget for the project. It's a process where the professionals work in stages sometimes together, and that is an essential part, because you have to get that gel in order to get that finish. So in terms of what we have been able to achieve so far, we have a team that works on different projects on different times. So they're able now to understand, persons can engage. Because when you find one issue, for example for the plumber, at times that issue is going to affect the electrician. And the solution for the plumber may also mean that the electrician is going to have to make adjustments as well. And sometimes we have to bring our architects on site as we go through to find some solutions, because that's really the nature of construction.
Don't go anywhere. Home Sweet Home will be right back.
Career Moves has always explored interesting careers, highlighting all you may not have known about them. This season is no different.
Coming back to Jamaica, everyone's like, Fizzy what? Fizzy who?
When you find a bright boy or girl in the class and people say, what are you going to be? The parents will say, you have to go be a doctor, you have to go be a lawyer. Nobody says you have to go be a politician.
Let me see your hands!
Tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Welcome back to Home Sweet Home. We're still talking with Raymond Grant about his Gladstone Drive development from concept to completion.
Right.
And I now want to get into site prep. What does that involve?
Okay, the site prep is the aspect of the project where we take possession of the site to commence activities, but not the actual construction.
Right.
So what we do in that regard is we scope the site, we decide where we're going to be setting up our site office, we decide where we're going to be setting up our work amenities, right? In terms of our power supply that we may need to upgrade to accommodate the site works, water supply as well, in terms of how much we're going to need, is there a connection existing already, is it sufficient to meet the demands that we're going to have on the site. In this case, luckily, there was a 4-bedroom house that had galvanized sheets in terms of the roofing. So what we were able to do was to deconstruct the house, remove the roofing, and use that roofing to create the hoarding that's necessary to create privacy and to prevent and reduce some of the nuisance to the neighbors and so on in terms of the construction with dust and noise and so on. So we were able to utilize in terms of the deconstruction, because some persons would think that you just go and you bulldoze a house down and you're gone, on your merry way, but that's really not the process. So we start with deconstruction, stripping the house, getting out things that can be reused on other locations or so on. The roof, if it can be removed, we remove the roof and so on. We have reused some of the burglar bars from the house on the container here. Some of the cupboards from the house we have reused. And in terms of the work amenity space, the water closets, the face basins and so on, we have reused most of those back for the workers, right? So our workers, because from time to time we have workers that come from out of town that have to sleep on site. So we ensure that they have good facilities in terms of how they operate and so on. So there's the benefit of using that process on your bottom dollar essentially. And then we set up our hoarding, simultaneously setting up our electricals. In this case, we had to set up a utility pole, relocate the meter from the house, set it up on the pole, and we actually brought in the containers that we are in now, believe it or not. And this was set up from scratch, where we got this container and we set it up to operate as our office. Because this is nice, right? Far side. In here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Once you have completed the deconstruction process, then we move to the demolition. The demolition process requires scoping out what you have to do, how many days is going to take, type of equipment that you're going to be needing to actually do that. Because yes, you can bring in, for example, a 950 bulldozer and you hit down the house, but then you have the foundation of the house to remove, to accommodate the new development that you're going to be putting in. So that requires the ability to scope it out, understanding what's at stake. For example, if you're bringing in trucks into a residential area to remove debris from your demolition, those trucks cannot be running at times when in the early mornings you have neighbors who are getting ready for work and so on. So we kind of set the time frame for those activities on the slower parts of the day, when the trucks can move from site down to Riverton and back again, to reduce the nuisance to the neighbors as much as possible. So we, in that demolition process, of course, we excavate the foundation of the existing property and we strip the site totally and make the site ready. So the prepping of the site essentially gets the site ready to commence construction, which would be the cutting of your foundations, right, to commence your new building.
Now, what happens when it rains? The construction has to stop, and does that affect anything that you are constructing?
Funny you ask that question, because when we just about started, there was some heavy rains in November of 2016, and we had to basically put a hold on operations for about a week and a half. But I'm happy to say that now we're actually 2 weeks ahead of schedule.
Oh, lovely.
Right, and part of the reason for that is that we can pace ourselves based on when certain, we call it acts of God, like rain or if there has to be an earthquake or so on would happen. What we do is we can choose to focus on aspects of the job that do not necessarily require physical presence on the site. So you can go into more detailed planning in terms of your aspects of your engineering again, or aspects of your architecture, in terms of your finishing. You can go about ordering, doing calculations to determine how many tiles you're going to need, how many materials you're going to need to finish certain aspects of the job. So even though the site may physically come to a halt, the project is still running, essentially, right? So what we do is our schedule that we have here captures all the aspects of the activities from the site prep that we mentioned all the way down to handing over of the units.
Raymond, thank you so much for giving us a more comprehensive understanding of what goes into the construction of a development. But I know there are other processes, so we will be back to hear more from you.
Certainly.
There is still so much more to be done to this development happening here on Gladstone Drive. Until next time, I'm Candy for Home Sweet Home.
It's season 12, and Wealth Magazine Business Access is here to keep you business savvy. With an impressive mix of some of Jamaica's most inspiring business moguls, we continue to keep Jamaica informed, empowered, and ready to dominate. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. only on BATV.
You're watching
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access. Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
We are back with another exciting, innovative
innovative and inspiring season.
It takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness, being consistent and persistent in whatever you're doing. That's the bottom line.
Business exists to add value to people's lives. And if we're not doing that, might as well we lock down the store and just call it a day.
It's a season 3 of Creating Wealth, Mondays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access TV.
Serious.
Serious.
Serious about business.
It was a meeting of two cities when the Montego Bay Convention Center hosted cocktails in Kingston at the Spanish Court Hotel, Worthington. Business Access TV was there to share in the moment.
First and foremost, on behalf of the team, I want to say a heartfelt thank you for being here. You could have been at other places, you could have been at other events, you could have been at other functions, but you found the convention center team very well to join us. So thank you again. All right? And so to go into this, again, just welcome, a heartfelt welcome. The Montego Bay Convention Center team is here. We have gone around, we have spoken to a lot of persons, but tonight it's very special for us because so many familiar faces, so many partners, so many clients, returning clients, possible clients, and the list goes on. So again, you will not hear me enough to say thank you, because that's a word that from the convention center, it's a part of us, and we really take pride in showing appreciation. This evening is truly special for us, for it has been a long time coming. Kingston has been a long time coming. And, you know, Montego Bay Convention Center, of course, we opened our doors in 2011 and to the events and meeting industry. And, but connecting with our friends and our partners in Kingston has always been on the top of our mind. Over the years, we have received substantial support from our clients in Kingston. Therefore, this event had to be in our cards. And of course, we have a large deck, but you're on top of that deck. And we know good things happen in Kingston. So like many other parishioners, we packed up everything and we headed into Kingston on the town bus yesterday. Some of the team came in, when was it? Monday. And they say, Aaron, the traffic. And I said, it can't be worse than Montego Bay. And we found ourselves here sitting in this room 5:30 because we've said there's not one partner that is standing in front of us now that is going to be here and not see a team member from the convention center representing. So again, team, thank you. Hopefully, any guest tonight, and this is not meant to mean anything, but any guest tonight that have never experienced the convention center, unfortunately, you're in the minority. But what we want you to do when you're in Montego Bay, please come and visit. Sit with us, have lunch. Let's tour you. Let's show you the technology. Let's show you what some of our partners in this room have done with us. We have transformed the convention center. And of course, there are many events. And one of the things that we had looked at is how we put all the assets, the available assets, through our vendors, through our partners, together to really make the convention center what it is. The purpose of the convention center was never a self-sustained entity. It's to really contribute to economic development. And what we're measured on is not only profitability, but our economic impact. And we've seen it, especially in Montego Bay. But one of the initiatives that we had is to bring Kingston a little bit to Montego Bay as well through our friends and partners that are here tonight. So the Montego Bay Convention Center represents opportunities, one for us to think differently and see possibilities for now and the future. The center firmly places Jamaica as a viable destination for meetings, conferences, exhibitions, and of course, a selection of certain sporting activity that relates to sport tourism. So while the honor is mine to welcome you, I always want to thank you for taking the time out in engaging with us. Think differently. That is what I want to drive in your thought process when it comes to the Montego Bay Convention Center. Let us work with the possibility. Let us make the possibilities become a reality. The sales and events team, they're here tonight. And I really want to identify the team members. I know when it comes to this part, they tend to just come together. And when I start to call the names, they're going to raise their hands. And they're going to say who they are. And of course, we all know them. So leading the sales and events team is, of course, our director of sales and events, Miss Mavoy Smith. Of course, there's Mavoy. We do have the sales managers with us tonight. You do have Donald Thompson. Where's Donald? Donald? There he is. There he is. Thank you, Donald. And of course, you have Alexia. Thank you, Alexia. And there's one lady here that she's a blend of food and beverage and sales. We call her catering sales. That's Trishani. So food is always important. So Trishani, thank you again. Trishani Austin. Our senior events manager, Kyan Henton. Many of you know Kyan. Many of you have been exposed to Kyan. Spearheading the senior events. Thank you, Kyan. So again, we have one lady that keeps us together. She's Michelle Gordon. Michelle is really our executive assistant and, of course, sales administrator. Sometimes we're based on a property, based on an events, we're pulled left, right, and center. If it's not for Michelle Gordon, we term her MG, the acronym MG, we would be all over the place. So MG's responsibility is to keep us together, keep us focused, and also keep us well fed. Thank you. ASEAN, many of you heard from ASEAN, know ASEAN PR, marketing, sponsorship. What else? And he takes the beautiful pictures. So with your permission tonight, ladies and gentlemen, ASEAN will, of course, on social media. I'm still catching up with technology. Social media, Facebook, Instagram, InstaChat. I got that right? Just joking. Just joking. So again, that's a team that is here tonight. And they're out, and they're here well represented. So, of course, Dr. Guntley, my second mother. Wave your hands for me, please. Thank you. John Woolcock, he heads up the events department for Jamaica Tourist Board. And of course, the Convention Center. We're now a part of the Ministry of Tourism. We're an agency under the Ministry of Tourism. John, very vital to our organization, very vital in terms of the partnership and to allow Jamaica to be recognized again, not only as leisure, but as meetings and conventions. Because really, the large groups that the Convention Center will and the future possibilities to bring into Jamaica, of course, will create that economic impact that we're pushing for Jamaica to recognize. Not only about profitability, but looking at economic impact, whether it be indirect or direct, to see how that trickles down for the entire geographic location to benefit. So again, that's the mandate and purpose of the Convention Center in partnership with our main sister agency, the Jamaica Tourist Board. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you again, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
I'm 36. I'm a husband, a manager, and still very good looking. In 2 hours, I have the most important meeting of my life. But first, it's time to play. Suki Patara.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
We're here at the Spanish Court Hotel, Worthington, for the Cocktails in Kingston. Why is it important for the Montego Bay Convention Center to have this event tonight?
It's very important to us because a few things that we have highlighted and wanted to bring forefront is that we recognize and appreciate our partners in Kingston, our clients in Kingston, our potential clients in Kingston. Of course, we do have these events just to mingle, just to share our thoughts process, not in terms of business, but just to get everyone inside a room. And of course, we just talk in a informal or formal environment, and we just get together. So that's really the purpose of our vendors, our partners, our agencies, from the ministries to our suppliers. We just get everyone in and show our appreciation.
You mentioned the Jamaica Tourist Board as one of your major partners. How has that relationship been?
It is excellent, and it is a relationship that has been in the making since our inception. The tourist board is very important to us. Jamaica Tourist Board, of course, is what we consider as our DMO, or destination marketing organization, that assists the convention center in not only marketing the facility to any other destination that would willing to come offshore, especially the international destinations, but what they do as well is to market Jamaica and assist us in not only marketing as Sun and Sierra Leisure, but to ensure that Jamaica is seen as a meetings and events destination that can host large group in a first world facility.
And speaking of that first world facility, tell us a little bit about the Montego Bay Convention Center and what people can expect from the venue.
Montego Bay Convention Center, managed by SMG, a North American-based company that manages 85% of the public facilities in the world. Of course, First World, now we have a mandate to ensure that that First World facility is represented here in Jamaica. And of course, Montego Bay Convention Center opened its door in 2011 to the events industry. And what we really do is to host events. I mean, regardless from your weddings to your largest expos, to your exhibition, to your conventions, to your sporting events, to your church events. So we're an all-inclusive package. We're a flexible facility. And what we do is to host any and every event. So that's basically what we do. And what to expect is our people. We have a set of well-trained staff, and events is our core business. And what we did in the initial stage is to ensure that our team members, they're fully aware of all aspects of event management, certified and also recognized internationally. So what you will expect from the Montego Bay Convention Center is the highest level of technology, the best aesthetics, theme, and the best management you can think of bringing your event from a thought process to reality. So that's what we're all about.
And finally, now that you're here in Kingston for this event, what kind of connections are you hoping to make at Cocktails in Kingston tonight?
Yes, we do have quite a few corporate partners in Kingston, but what we want to do is to bring Kingston to Montego Bay. Get Kingston to come to Montego Bay, see what the convention center is all about. So for potential clients that we do have, it's just to mingle, to invite them, just to, a short presentation, show what we're about, and then of course to invite those potential clients down, and of course get them to know the convention center, come in, explore the property, do inspection, see the technology, see the staff, meet the people, meet the strength behind the asset, and then of course we go from there. So in a sense, it's really to have Kingston in Montego Bay, and of course to expand our business, which that's the whole intention.
The Montego Bay Convention Center opened its doors about 8 years ago. What have we seen from the convention center over the years?
Well, the convention center since 2011 to now 2019, we've done a little bit over 700 events. We've done a lot of weddings, we've done graduations, we've done car shows, we've done meetings, conventions. We're home to most of the major churches in Jamaica where they do their annual conventions with us. So we're home to the Jamaica Baptist, the United Open Bible, the Jehovah's Witnesses, you name it, we're home to them.
And as was mentioned, the Jamaica Tourist Board is a major partner with the Montego Bay Convention Center. How has that experience or how has that relationship been over the years?
Very positive. Having the convention center in Montego Bay means that we have the ability to go after larger groups that will support the hotels in the area. And without the convention center, this was a void. So, of course, having a state-of-the-art facility in Montego Bay opens up a lot of opportunities for us. And we're seeing where MICE planners are really taking a very close look at the destination, whereas in the past they might have said, you know what, this group is a little bit too large for Jamaica or for Montego Bay. Now it's on the table. Now Jamaica is even more viable.
And can you comment on the impact it has had on the tourism industry over the years?
The Montego Bay Convention Center, as Karen Benjamin, our interim general manager, mentioned earlier, that our core function is basically to support the community. So our aim is to bring in, as John just mentioned, the larger groups to Jamaica, so it will impact the hotels. So we basically get heads in beds. You'll have the coconut man on the roadside being able to sell more jelly coconuts, the cane man, the nightlife, so the Margaritaville's, the Pier 1s, you name it, so it's like a domino effect. So all partners involved will be able to get a piece of the pie.
And it's only been here since 2011, so can you comment on what impacts has been made to tourism before and now?
Well, again, as Mavoy just mentioned, it's all positive in the sense that we're getting more business, increased business, more visitor arrivals coming in. Conventions that would not have considered Jamaica, now they're looking at the destination, they're actually booking the destination. So again, it's very positive. We have become even more competitive in the marketplace.
How do you see the center being utilized in new ways to pull more visitors?
We are trying to focus more heavily on the sporting events. So as it is now, we host the NCAA, that's a basketball competition, every November, and this competition is aired live on CBS. So not only Jamaicans get an opportunity to see what can happen at the convention center, but persons internationally will be able to see what we're doing, and they may think to say, okay, so I can bring a sporting event to Jamaica. So it's not just meetings and conventions, we're pretty much multifunctional, which is why in our different spaces at the convention center, there's nothing fixed. So whatever the event is, we can accommodate it. If it's a car show, we can do it. If it's basketball, we can do it. If it's taekwondo, we can do it. So you name it, we can do it.
And anything new from the tourist board that you can mention?
The Jamaica Tourist Board is always looking at new opportunities. We have a very strong team in the market, so we are pursuing a lot of new ventures. So it's going to be great for Jamaica moving forward. We're seeing it in our visitor arrivals. It continues to grow. And again, it's going from strength to strength. But we have a gem in MBCC, no question about it. And all of our partners, from the hotels, the DMCs, the attractions, it's all very good.
Your company has hosted several events at the Montego Bay Convention Center. Talk to us about the experience working with them.
It's an amazing experience working with the team there. One of the wonderful things about the convention center and the team is that level of engagement. They take on your project as if it's their own, and they're really involved from start to finish. And it's something that you really appreciate as a project manager and an event manager, because you want to be assured that all of the details of your event are taken care of. Usually you're planning an event from Kingston at the Montego Bay Convention Center, so having that level of oversight, that level of attention to detail is really very important to us. So it's something that we really appreciate. After a while, they become your friends. It's really an amazing team there. So I'd recommend anyone to go to the convention center. And it's not just about the team, it's about the facilities, it's about the facilitation, it's about the accommodation of each and every request. So I can't say enough good things about them there. Mm-hmm.
And how important would you say a venue like this is for Jamaica?
Oh, absolutely, very important. I mean, Jamaica, as the general manager just said, Jamaica is more than just sea and sand. And it's very important that you have a facility that can accommodate local, nationally scaled, as well as regional and international events right here on our shores. It's an opportunity for various industries to be showcased, for us to stage events that have multi-tiered opportunities for varied groups. So for the hotel sector, the broader tourism sector, for other persons here in Jamaica, it really makes sense for you to have a facility like this in Jamaica. And I can only wish that they go from strength to strength in terms of the range of services that they offer that will ensure that we entice as many people here as possible to utilize the services and the facilities that are here.
Hi, I'm Peter Shakir from Event and Entertainment Services. We're an event management and planning company, and we do many events across the island and abroad as well. We also own Jamaica Bridal Expo, and this is my partner, Joanne Paxton, and she'll talk to you a little bit about hosting Jamaica Bridal Expo at the Montego Bay Convention Center.
We've hosted the Jamaica Bridal Expo at the Montego Bay Convention Center for the past 6 years, and Jamaica Bridal Expo is at home at the Convention Center. Everything is positive about the venue, the grand ballroom, what you have the expo in, the conference room where we hold a conference on the first day of activities for the expo, and the staff at the Montego Bay Convention Center is absolutely amazing.
Thank you for tuning into our coverage of Cocktails in Kingston, hosted by the Montego Bay Convention Center. You're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
Do you want more experience from your SUV? Introducing the 2020 Nissan X-Trail with leading-edge technology, intelligent ride and chassis control, a round view monitor, and hill start assist for confidence behind the wheel. Plus, auto headlights and panoramic sunroof. Drive the SUV with more experience. The Nissan X-Trail, available today at Fidelity Motors.
Cameo brings the creative industries to life. Highlighting creatives in different fields each week. Art.
My life turns art, and I breathe, I eat art.
Fashion. Food.
Without a customer, we're nothing but four walls.
Music. Film. Cameo, only on Business Access TV.
You're watching Business Access TV. Business Access. Business Access. Business Access. Business Access.
You are watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Serious about business.
Wealth Magazine is back at it again with Corporate Mingle. Today we're here at the Reggae Mill Bar, where executives, creatives, entrepreneurs are here to mix and mingle. I'm your host, Amita Pasalbe. Please stay tuned for highlights.
And thank you for you being here. We're here to introduce you to the newest way to deal with Western Union. This is the way of the future. This is how you will be handling your Western Union business going forward. It's called westernunion.com.
Grace Kennedy Money Services is in partnership with CME today here at Corporate Mingle. Talk to me about that.
So, Grace Kennedy Money Services is the home of Western Union, Bill Express, FX Trader. Today we're here with CME because we have an exciting new product to push, and this is the ideal target audience or corporates. Because you know what? Corporate people, they're always on the go, they're always moving, they don't have time sometimes to just get to a Western Union location to do their business. So we have a platform where they can stay wherever they are as long as they have an internet connection and they can send a money transfer. That's why we're here, we're pushing that. So woo.com is the name of the website, and it allows you to send a money transfer to anywhere in Jamaica or to 200 countries across the world. Wherever a Western Union location is, you can send a money transfer. You need to send some money, you need to send it fast. Register, go on woo.com, send it. All you have, the only money you spent is that money that you're trying to send. That's it. No credit card fees, no processing fees, no transfer fees, nothing. Zero. And you have to be registered. It's a registered service. Part of registration that you have to do, you start online. But you have to satisfy our own Jamaican regulations, Bank of Jamaica regulations, you have to go into a location with your ID that you registered with to validate. And that's it. All we need to do is to be able to see your ID, see you, and know that you are who this ID is. That's it. Once you've been validated, you never have to go back into a location to receive money ever again.
It's Corporate Mingle Networking with a Purpose. We're here today at the Reggae Mill Bar. Talk to us about what's happening.
All right, so this is our fourth staging of the Corporate Mingle, and this is the first time actually coming to this location. We have a mixed crowd because we have Bumblebee as a sponsor. We have Grace Kennedy, Western Union, Business Access TV, and of course, Adam and Eve Dayspa. So we have a very mixed crowd. We have mature, younger persons here. It's always a new venue, so we can try something new so persons don't get used to the same venue and it's always here again. It's always a new place, preferably somewhere hip, as you see Reggae Mill is where all the festivities happening now for the young people. We have different networking games. We have our wonderful host, as usual, Amisa. So we're trying to keep it interactive, get persons involved, talking to each other, mingling, networking. Of course, drinks flowing, so people flowing, conversations flowing.
So talk to us a little bit in regards to what exactly it is that Bumblebee does.
So Bumblebee is a digital media agency, so we look at what we can consider traditional digital media, which is the Facebook and the Instagram and the Twitter and Google, of course, but we are also into programmatic, and definitely the leading product that we offer is Wi-Fi advertising, which is new to Jamaica. So we are partners with Gross Tech, and they are committed to making Wi-Fi like oxygen. So we are committed to helping brands build brand loyalty by helping to make Wi-Fi like oxygen, by partnering and sponsoring that Wi-Fi. So we're the leaders in that regard. We have amazing click-through rates, which is above every other digital platform that is currently here. So we are seeing click-through rates of between 10 and 30% and lead generations of over 30%, which is not heard of in the region. So this is really something big that brands can and should get into.
I've been here for a very long time. We've been building our product for the past 3 years, and I've been coming here, building networks, building my social network. So this is not my first time I've been here.
Tell me about your business, Intranet Solutions.
Intranet Solutions, we offer social Wi-Fi to businesses. So instead of persons signing in with a passcode, they use their social media handles. So they use Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, whichever handle is there at the time. Once persons sign in, companies get their demographic information because they would have approved and allowed for you to get that information. So it's a way to build on your marketing list and a way to improve your business overall.
Talk to me about O'Shane Bryant Fitness.
All right, so O'Shane Bryant Fitness, we don't have a fixed location. We're predominantly at UWI Mona campus, but of course we're a fitness entity that's geared towards giving Jamaica the most affordable health and fitness lifestyle. It's a lifestyle, and not a fat thing.
Well, it's my second time coming to a mingle. I'm really enjoying it. Perfect place to mingle, to get your business out there and learn about your peers and what's going on.
It's that time where we bid you farewell. Thank you for tuning in to Business Access TV and our coverage of Corporate Mingle here at the Reggae Mill Bar. I've been your host, Amita Pasad Webb, and you're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
business current affairs you can relate to. Frank, credible discussion. On point, dissecting the issues, offering solutions to Jamaica's challenges. On Point, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
On this episode of Wealth Magazine Business Access, we get to hear from the President and CEO of the Victoria Mutual Group, Courtney Campbell. Taking us on a trek down memory lane, Campbell identifies how faith, discipline, and leadership were a part of his core from a young age, qualities that would later prove vital as he excelled in corporate Jamaica. Campbell also shares his plans to use his extensive experience in the industry to revolutionize the VM Group, making it even more customer-centric and competitive in the financial sector.
I'm Courtney Campbell, President and CEO of the Victoria Mutual Group. I'm a country boy. I was born in Chapelton, Clarendon, to Osmond and Carmen Campbell, two public servants. Grew up in a small family, just my younger brother and myself with our parents over the years. Actually born on Mother's Day, I just think that's special, right? And so as the first child of my mother and being born on Mother's Day, I think is really cool. But we actually grew up in Kellits, Clarendon, North Clarendon. That's where my parents lived at the time. And childhood days were really fun. We spent holidays many times with our grandparents. My mother's father lived in Colonel's Ridge, which is North Clarendon, and my father's parents lived in Rock River, which is just about central Clarendon. They had farms, and it was really fun to be moving cattle in Rock River, for example, from one part of the pasture to the next. And, you know, we'd spend some time with our cousins there. But also, we had some really wonderful times just playing at home. My father taught me cricket in the backyard, right? And we would use some improvised equipment, right? But we had really good time. I remember roasting corn, and then some really good family fun times traveling around the island. My father was a forest officer, so he had, I think, a good career with the forestry department in the Ministry of Agriculture. He would spend lots of time in the hills of St. Andrew, Portland, St. Thomas, but also based in Monique, St. Anne. And he would work from there, and also in the Bullhead Mountain area of North Clarendon. So he worked all over the island, you know, helping us to preserve our forests and to ensure that the environment was protected. My mother was a postmistress, and she worked at the Mona Post Office, Watermount, Kellits, and she ended her last few years in the service were at Watermount in St. Catherine. But my brother, Alistair, spent a lot of time with our diplomatic service. He was posted in Japan at one point, and of course in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here. Eventually left that to start a publishing business on his own, so he lives with his family now in Canada, right? But we spent, for school, we attended Kellits Primary. Right through our school life, whether it was in primary school or in high school, my parents really made some sacrifices for us, and you know, that was epitomized when we were in high school. So I attended Knox College, a boarding school, so we were boarders, and my father would leave home in Kellits to drive to Spalding to visit us on every weekend, take talk for us, make ensure that we're okay. So I found that although we were from humble circumstances, we're civil servants, children, we ended up, helping other kids who were much better off with talk, food supplies, and even lending them money, right? Some very wealthy kids, because we had to be so disciplined in how we were managing the little we had. They probably weren't forced to be as disciplined. So I did first form at Clarendon College. That's where I passed the common entrance for. My brother was at the junior school at Knox, Knox Junior School, and my parents wanted us to be together. And so they made outreach to the principal and the vice principal of the high school, Mrs. Jones, Barbara Jones at the time, and she arranged for me to be transferred from Clarendon College to Knox. So I started Knox in second form, what they call at Knox Class 8, and it was a really great experience being at that school. Today, I'm so fond of Knox, I sit on the board now. What I was exposed to at the high school, I started to develop leadership skills and getting some leadership responsibilities. I was a prefect. Then you were involved in several other activities such as track and field. I started doing a little track. And of course, I played cricket for the school and represented the school in one chess match. I quite enjoyed. I got a good beating, but I quite enjoyed it. And then when doing A-levels at Knox, then we did A-levels at the community college, and that was a further, experience to develop leadership skills. And we're involved in a student council there, and they had a canteen that was run by the students, so I was a canteen manager. But those A-level years were wonderful, developed some great friendships. So by the time we got to UWI in 1981 is when I started. I think we're well prepared for the course of study at the time. I actually joined university, was admitted to do hotel management, believe it or not, because that's what I thought I was passionate about at the time. Initially I wanted to do the law, probably 14, 15. By the time I ended A-levels, it was hotel management. I was dead set on managing a hotel. But during my first year, got some advice that the program that UWI had at the time for hotel management, which required us to start to the 1 year here and then the other 2 years in the Bahamas, that there were some challenges with the Bahamas leg of it. And so someone who was actually there advised me to try to switch to the straight management studies degree. And so I got the transfer into straight management studies and completed those studies in 1984. But again, my UWI experience was so much more than about the academics, right? It was about involvement in student leadership and in the other extracurricular activities. So I was manager of the football team, for Chancellor Hall. I was an executive of the University and Colleges Christian Fellowship, the UCCF group on campus. I was treasurer for Chancellor Hall in my second year, and then in my final year, I was a deputy hall chairman for Chancellor Hall and a guild councillor. So, if you think about it, when you combine the high school years with those years at university, lots of exposure to leadership, the ability to interact with persons from different backgrounds and different experiences, and living on campus, both in high school and university, would have given me some wonderful opportunities to develop my interpersonal skills as well and to develop a certain independence. So I think those were wonderful years that I cherish to this day. I had this combination in my heart of loving to deal with people as well as numbers, right? So I thought banking represented the perfect combination of numbers and people every day.
design is not only how things look, but also how well they work. The GLC, more than meets the eye.
It's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, free eye test. It's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, free eye test. Free eye testing is back and it's here to stay. Island Eyewear offers free eye testing every day, all day at all locations island-wide. Conditions apply. Make your appointment today at www.islandeyewear.com or call us 630-1180. Island Eyewear, your style, your price. It's Island Hour, free eye test.
I had this combination in my heart of loving to deal with people as well as numbers, right? So I thought banking represented the perfect combination of numbers and people every day, right? And so I applied to all the banks at the time, right? There's a few banks, but the commercial banks, those are the institutions that I submit. So I was interested in manufacturing, any other service industry, just banks. And I eventually landed a job at the bursary at the University of the West Indies right after graduation. But soon after that, started getting answers now from some of the banks, in NCB at the time, and also Citibank and so on. Eventually, by February of 1985, I started my career with National Commercial Bank, and I was to be there for 23 years. I joined as a graduate trainee. That was a program they had at the time. Some called it management training, some called it graduate training. The idea was that over 18 months, you would be exposed to most of the operations in a branch, right? You wouldn't be stuck in one area for 4 or 5 years, but you'd be exposed in 8-week stints or 4-week stints of different desks in the branch. And once you were successful in that program over 18 months, you would then become a supervisor, which was a big deal at the time. Many university graduates, went on that program. Not all did well, right? And for different reasons, but I had a successful program. And so I became a supervisor at that branch, and Matilda's Corner it was. I started during that period the associateship for the Chartered Institute of Bankers, what is called the ACIB, which really, because at UWI, they would not have gone into details of banking. It was very general. But, one piece of advice that I had received when I was being interviewed for the job is that if you really want to do banking as a career, it made sense for you to do those professional banking exams. One of the things I have always been committed to was excellence. Whatever I was doing, I was going to be very, very good at it, right? I would take home the simplest tasks when I was learning them on the counter, right? And I would practice, right? Using sample transactions, I would practice them at home, and to ensure that when I returned the following day doing the real stuff, that, it was well done and very efficiently done. And so, I remember early days when I was in the foreign exchange department doing some complex traveler's checks transactions that, one customer said, "Have never been served so quickly with this type of transaction." I really set high standards for myself. I was transferred from the branch into corporate division, which was unusual at the time because the corporate division was really for the cream of the crop in terms of credit analysts, so they would pull most in fact, all of the account executive assistants from the credit department at head office. And I was, at the time, from what I can recall, the first to leave a branch and to go directly to corporate. I really threw myself into that work. And so by the time NCB in the mid-90s established an investment bank and wanted someone from their ranks to work in that small team, Mr. Rex James, as the managing director, asked me to do that. And it was a great privilege. So I joined together with a couple of other guys, and we started what was then called National Mutual Investments. So I had moved from retail banking in the branch to corporate banking, to then investment banking. And that was a time when lots of investment banking activity in Jamaica was going on, and in the mid-90s. I spent 3 years there. I think we achieved some of the objectives, or most of the objectives that we had set out. So at the end of that 3-year period though, I felt that I really now wanted to be on my own. So I spoke with the head of HR at the time, Audrey Basanta Henry, and when an opportunity came up, I was offered the opportunity to be the branch manager in Mandeville. And what a wonderful experience that was, right? Leading my own team there, but wonderful customers in that part of the island, and a great team. And to this day, I have solid friendships that were developed in those 3 years in Mandeville. My family moved to Mandeville. We worshipped at Ridgemount United Church in Mandeville. We're really part of the community. And when we returned to Kingston 2 or 3 years later, it was really a very emotionally difficult time for us, but because we thoroughly enjoyed that time. I returned to Kingston to take up the role of head of retail banking. So in 2008, I transitioned from NCB to First Global Holdings Limited, as a subsidiary of Grace Kennedy. And I'd enjoyed my time at NCB. I had some wonderful colleagues, some great bosses in Patrick Hilton and Dennis Cohen. Really enjoyed working with them, and of course the chairman, Michael Leachin. But I believe that at that point of my career, I wanted something more in terms of broader responsibilities. And yes, I was leading the largest business division there, but it was at the end of the day a division of the bank. And the question is, as I looked through to the rest of my career, was it going to be sufficiently fulfilling for me to be just chasing more profits each year? And I felt that I could do a little more. And so this opportunity at Grace Kennedy came up to lead the banking and investments division, First Global Holdings Limited, and I was happy to take that up. I believe that at the time I thought that it's more than leading that business, just being mentored by someone like Douglas O'Rian was going to be a great opportunity as well, and so I accepted that offer and started in July 2008. I think it worked wonderfully. And, so I had 8 great years there. That's another iconic Jamaican institution. So if you think about it, I've really been privileged. I've been blessed to have had exposure to executive leadership at NCB and Grace Kennedy, two of the iconic institutions in Jamaica. Soon after joining, that was July 2008, by February of 2009, I was asked to take responsibility for the entire financial services division. It was then called GK Investments. What we did then was operationalize a company called GK Financial Group. And so that really was the holding company for all the financial service businesses in Grace Kennedy, cutting across 12 Caribbean territories, the money services business, insurance, banking, investments. And I had a seat on the board of the parent company, Grace Kennedy Limited. And I would say to you that it was a rich experience, just being exposed to world-class governance practices, decision-making in a conglomerate, capital allocation decisions. And we did, I believe, achieve a lot. There was pretty significant growth in the business over that time, and also some investments that will, bear fruit in the future. And so just, the opportunity to be involved in those was just invaluable, right? And again, building up some good relationships with some wonderful and talented, very, very talented people on the board and in the executive leadership team and right across Grace Kennedy. So the next phase of my life, so if you recall, 23 years at NCB, 1985 to 2008, then 8 years at Grace Candy, 2008 to 2016, right? And you know, this great opportunity comes up at Victoria Mutual Building Society. And I'm thinking about this, you know, through the last few months of 2015, and saying that I'm enjoying my time at GK, at Grace. I mean, I'm really learning a lot and benefiting from great working relationships with everyone there. And the question is, how do I pull away, or why should I pull away from that to do this job at Victoria Mutual? And you know why I eventually decided to? The mission of Victoria Mutual. The mission that was behind the establishment in 1878. And that mission was a noble one that I think is still relevant today, because Victoria Mutual was established for the purpose of ensuring that ordinary Jamaicans, if you recall, this was 1878, 13 years after the Morant Bay Rebellion, 40 years after the abolition of slavery. Land ownership and home ownership, you know, were distant dreams for the ordinary people at the time. And so some clergymen decided that, you know, using the model that they had seen working in the UK, where, you know, these building societies were being established and doing reasonably well, that model was viable in Jamaica as well. So, you know, Reverend G.W. Dawn and some other clergymen decided that they would want to establish Victoria Mutual for that purpose, and to help some ordinary people to get a breakthrough by virtue of just pooling their savings, right? And, you know, granting home loans from that. And I've always been concerned about inequality in Jamaica. I don't believe any one institution can solve that, but I believe that each institution can be a point of light, right? We need several million points of light, but let me be one point of light, right? Or let my company, let my institution be one point of light. And so that is what attracted me to Victoria Mutual. We have this ambition that, you know, 2 or 3 years out of university, you have a stable job, we should enable you to have a mortgage to open your own doors. You know, that's the type of ambition that we're bringing to it. Because Jamaicans are ambitious people and we want to facilitate the ambition. So that is about how we structure our mortgage products and so on, right? And how early we encourage you to start meaningful saving, right? Because that's a goal we have. Now we're committed to mutuality. And mutuality really means that the customers are also the owners of the business. That's why we call them members, right? So they're not just a customer, they're members. It's their business. And we believe that diversity of business models is good for Jamaica. It's good to have a business in the financial sector that's strong. We are the 4th largest deposit-taking institution. So, you know, we do have a pretty decent market share, right, which we're seeking to grow. But it's good to have such a strong institution like Victoria Mutual Building Society, owned by all our customers. All of these people operating in you know, doing business, living and working in Jamaica, and many in the diaspora, owning this business and the business being run for their benefit. I would want Victoria Mutual to, during my tenure, make a real difference in financial inclusion in Jamaica, making it possible for many more Jamaicans to meaningfully participate in the financial sector, saving, but also borrowing to acquire their own homes. I think we have to keep working at ways to make a breakthrough in that respect. I'm driven by, I think, my personal convictions. My faith is very important.
Do you want Want more experience from your SUV? Introducing the 2020 Nissan X-Trail with leading-edge technology, intelligent ride and chassis control, a round view monitor, and hill start assist for confidence behind the wheel. Plus, auto headlights and panoramic sunroof. Drive the SUV with more experience. The Nissan X-Trail, available today at Fidelity Motors.
I'm driven by, I think, my personal convictions. My faith is very important. You know, there's a verse in Colossians that speaks to whatever work you're doing, work at it with all your heart as if working for the Lord and not for men, right? So I really commit to doing everything that I'm doing with a certain degree of excellence because, you know, I believe that this too is kingdom building. I mean, I think that God works through all of us, right? In helping to make the world a better place and bringing more justice and righteousness. And I think that even in the financial sector that we can play a role in helping people to live better lives, and that drives me. Of course, I'm also driven by my family. I've been married to my wife, Pauline, for 29 years. I have a really great relationship. So she's a wonderful partner, a great support. We met at university, right? And so I see her as a great partner in this journey of life. My two sons, Adrian and Dominic, are also special. So we enjoy really good family times. And, you know, some of the things that I look forward to are just holidays as a family together. And we have had some wonderful times over the years, but not just holidays. Just going home during the week and spending time on weekends together is something that's special. I've grown a lot in terms of how to develop strategy, in terms of how to lead people, in terms of the ability to make tough decisions, right, and communicate tough, difficult decisions. So I've grown a lot in that respect. I've grown a lot in terms of how to network, in terms of how the responsibility of, you know, taking public positions, right, standing alone sometimes, unpopular positions. So I think all of those experiences have helped me to mature over the years. Over the years, I've been very involved in public service. So, well, first of all, through the church, I have served different congregations, Portmore United, Richmond United, Webster Memorial, in different roles in social outreach, in evangelism, in discipleship. I've served at the Knox College on the board of governors there. I've served as chairman of the National Education Trust, you know, and that's the arm of the Ministry of Education that's responsible for stimulating private sector investments in education. So I served as chairman of that body for 4 years, and during that time we completed the construction of several school expansions, but also a new school, Cedar Grove High School, and then we spent some time developing the business case and getting approval for a project to install solar energy, PV panels in 20 to 30 schools. I think for me, wealth, true wealth, is eternal. It's investing in things that last, investing in family, investing in people, you know, so that the things you sow in people will last beyond your lifetime, and also in how you help to build a kingdom that is, you know, reflected in love and peace and so on, some things that outlast you.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Loving Hands Children's Network, LHCN, recently extended their loving arms to St. Richard's Primary School and Early Childhood Center as part of their campaign in Jamaica and the United Kingdom.
Loving Hands Children's Network is a social enterprise. We're a community organisation based in the United Kingdom. We've set ourselves up to help those in need, as in children, young adults with disabilities, those that are disenfranchised, and those young children, young people who are in real need, home and away. We have 5 representatives that work with us. We're all volunteers. Abigail and I, as we said, are co-founders. Yeah. We have 2 local representatives here in Jamaica. We have 2 representatives in the UK, and we have 1 who's a brand ambassador that's based in the United States of America. We're here to launch our Feeding Our Future campaign and to share our organisation with you guys in Jamaica.
I got a dream. And I wanted to fulfill that dream. So Antoinette and I became really close from working in the school because where our daughter attends. And I presented that dream to her. And because I look up to her as a mentor as well, which I don't think she knows, but yeah. So I decided to present that to her, being, business-minded as she is. And I decided to bring it to life, really. And the name came to me in a dream, as I said, and we wanted to add something else to the name that could broaden it. So that's when Antoinette decided, let's call it a children's network, and that's how the name came about. Growing up, my mom didn't have enough money for me to attend school, so I was on a feeding program as well. Used to get vegetable and milk. I'm assuming they're still doing that. Yes, so, and for me, like what Antoinette mentioned earlier, I've done my research, and, it's very important for kids to have a meal in the morning. It's very important. So that's what inspired me as well as my dream.
We've only been working with organisations in the UK at the moment, but then we've reached out to where we are here today, so St. Richard's Primary School and also the Early Childhood Learning Centre, because Abigail came to St. Richard's Primary School, and we wanted to, as we said, give back and to share various initiatives that we've been talking about. My own child has disability, so I have a 16-year-old son who has autism. So, totally understand the pressures and the constraints for a parent. And I wanted to share that outside of the UK because I was being reached out to online and social media by families and, friends with children with special needs, and the lack of support and resources here in Jamaica for those children.
We would like the government in Jamaica to help to support us. We feel like special needs to be recognized more, and children should not be shunned because they've got a special need. So we would like that to be recognized more by the government, the importance of the supporting children with special needs, being a special needs teacher as well, it's so rewarding to see, when you get them from September and say, for example, they've got speech and language or some form of physical disability, and to see the progress, and sometimes just you alone cannot support enough children. So we need that, that extra support, that governmental support.
We've kicked off and launched our Future campaign, Jamaica, and that basically comprises of a breakfast feeding and healthy choices eating plan. So we're working with principals at St. Richard's, so Mrs. Maureen Wong, and we're also working with Millicent Wilson here at the Early Childhood Learning Centre to promote and provide children with, healthy options, optional choices, and to learn how to eat well. We're very conscious, we've done research, we've looked into the impact of having breakfast and how that can enable you and energize you in order to learn, concentrate, build the brain and growth. We're not saying we're health experts by any means, but we are caring and cherishing parents, so we do understand and see the value in having a real warm meal, full healthy meal, vitamins, minerals each day.
Future plans would be to, for us to have sponsorship, because at the moment we're doing everything, it's self-funded. We would love to have sponsorship because we found it quite challenging, self-funding the Feeding Our Future initiative. So yes, it would be lovely to have some form of sponsorship from the government.
And I would also add that as well as sponsorship, we're currently, as I said, being approached by many organisations, and it would be nice to see beyond, siloed projects come to life. It'd be really, impactful across the island so that we can enter into all the parishes with the Feeding Our Future programme, which we do intend to do. We'd like to roll it across all 14 parishes. We also want to make sure, again, we roll out the youth employability, where we're working with private organisations, government bodies, in order to, again, raise awareness of young people entering into work. We know how high youth unemployment is, not just in Jamaica, but also for us back home in the UK.
We're working and we've got kids, and we still, we're on it because, we're passionate, very passionate about the children, very.
Coming up on Caring Hands.
St. Richard's Early Childhood Centre has been established since 1985.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Millicent Wilson is the principal of St. Richard's Preschool and Early Childhood Centre. She is grateful for the support that she has gotten from Loving Hands Children's Network. So too is Maureen Wong, principal of St. Richard's Primary School. Both schools have a breakfast feeding program for all students.
St. Richard's Early Childhood Centre has been established since 1985. It was operated by the Catholic Sisters. However, over the years, it was closed and reopened in 1999. That's when I started here. However, in 2013, I became the principal of St. Richard's Early Childhood Centre. St. Richard's is a Catholic school, and we believe in nurturing spiritual values, social values, positive social values, and with that culminating with the academics, can only have excellence. We currently have 197 students, including preschoolers. We have a staff of 15, including caregivers, ancillary staff, cooks. We have 3 persons who operate the kitchen, because we do our breakfast program at 7 o'clock in the morning, lunch program, and we also cater for the aftercare students, so we also give them a snack. 6 classrooms, all trained teachers, and so our students are being catered for, not just nutritionally, but academically. St. Richard's Early Childhood Center is situated in a inner city community, where you find some students may come to school with little or no breakfast, little or no lunch. Being a Catholic institution, we believe it is quite fitting to ensure that our students are well nourished. And so we started our breakfast program in 2013. However, the government had come on stream to help us out, because now the government is focusing on nutrition. However, the funding that we receive from the government sometimes cannot cover both breakfast, lunch, plus aftercare, because those students are here until 6 o'clock in the evening. And so we are grateful for the help that we can get from Abigail, just about any help that we can get to ensure that our students are well fed. Abigail was a student at St. Richard's Primary School, which it's on the same compound as the Early Childhood Center. And she has decided to partner with us for a breakfast program, right? And she's just given back to her institution. She's so much in love with St. Richard's Primary School and what she has achieved. And so we are really grateful to be a part of this venture.
Many people would say St. Richard's Primary is operated as a prep school, a preparatory school. We prepare our children here to go out into the wider world. We have an holistic approach, and everyone, just about everyone, will want their children to come to St. Richard's Primary School. We have a very good program here, and it's not just about academics, it's well-rounded. We have sporting activities, we have the arts, we have a mixture of everything here at St. Richard's Primary School. And we pride ourselves in our motto, excellence or goal. So whatever it is that we do here at St. Richard's, we aim for the highest, and we always maintain a very high standard. Our claim to fame really is our academics. And every year when our students do the grade 6 achievement test that the government allows for all schools, for the primary to matriculate to the high schools, we are always on top of our games. We have a high percentage of persons going to the traditional high schools. And so that is one of our claim to fame, our academics. Our teachers here, they are very involved, they are very dedicated. Here at St. Richard's, we uphold our Christian values. Many of the staff members are Christians, and so they impart this to the students. And also that we collaborate with each other. If it is that there's a problem in the family, they come and they speak with either the principal, vice principal, the guidance counselor, or just about any teacher. So we have an approach that says that we are family oriented and that we care about each other. We ensure that each child has a lunch. The PTA has a program where they adopt, so to speak, 10 students each year. They purchase the books and other supplies, the book bags, everything that 10 student needs. Also from outside, we get sponsorship for those students, especially those who are struggling in terms of the financial aspect of things, and that they, really show the true potential. So I have students who are sponsored by, persons out there who really want to give back to the society. And, we have persons like Abigail, who is a past student here at St. Richard's. And so it is that, we are considered. I just would like to add that I thank persons like Abigail from Loving Hands, who is on board with St. Richard's Primary, that other persons, when they see this, that they too can come on board, because the school will benefit a lot from persons who look out and give back to society in this way.
We are ready to make a positive change. So whatever the challenges are, it is for us now to find persons who are trained and capable to help us in any area.
Coming up on Caring Hands.
It's not just about a piece of bread and butter. These guys are really getting some really good meals here, and we try to change it each day.
Every day you wake up, you have another opportunity to make this little island better, safer, a place where we all can be proud to call home. It's time we all recognize that every little thing we do has an impact on the Jamaica we live in now and the country we're leaving for our children. So promise me this, promise yourself this: no more will we tolerate criminals, even if it's our relatives. Tell them they're doing something wrong. Tell them to stop. Tell them no more robbing our children of the Jamaica they deserve. Tell them no more crime.
Cameo brings the creative industries to life, delighting creatives in different fields each week. Art.
My life turns art. I breathe, I eat art.
Fashion. Food.
Without a customer, we're nothing but four walls.
Music. Film. Cameo, only on Business Access TV.
Kevin Nemard, the PTA president of St. Richard's Preschool and Early Childhood Center, sees the breakfast program as a welcome initiative.
When I got here and we saw that children here, the company just drop them off and that's it, and some of them didn't have a meal, some might not have lunch on a day-to-day basis. Now the idea came that, hey, let us start do something. So we started off really small to see what would be the response of the parents and the children. And try to make sure that we have a balanced learning zone here that is not just about teaching yourself, but make sure that once your tummy is full, you're better focused in class. You give less trouble in class because the worms growling and stuff in the tummy, you're distracted, so you tend to want to give trouble. Now when your tummy is full, from early, because you're taught that the first meal of the day is the best meal. So here we started off, and our breakfast program is very, I think it's very good for me. It is awesome because it's not just about a piece of bread and butter. These guys are really getting some really good meals here, and we try to change it each day. So one morning you might have porridge, real nice porridge. I tell the coolest auntie can cook, have mercy when she go into the kitchen, everything just smells nice. Just smell it from way down the road and say, oh gosh, I can't wait to reach at school. So they might have like frankfurters and scrambled eggs, they have cereal, they have fruits. We have partnership with other persons who parents who might give us some fruits, or we have some agreement to buy fruits at at a better price, and they have the holistic meal here to have. So it's not about us dry food and, you know, like, oh gosh, program and look, I'm so surprised I'm gonna get every day. So every day is something different, and these kids actually look forward to coming here. My parents telling me that I don't want any breakfast at home. The breakfast here is nice, so mommy don't need to do anything. Yeah, so you know, so that was very encouraging to hear that. And it wasn't anything planned. You know, a child came and she said that to me, and the parents saw me, and I'm like, okay, I didn't know it was that good. So you know, it's a good project that we have here. You know, Abigail Aunt spoke to us about her niece's intentions, and then we heard that she's not here in Jamaica, and you know, she's in London there, and this is what she wants to do to give back. I thought that, okay, this seemed to be an interesting venture to do, because I mean, it's good to know that we can think outside of the box, and I'm happy that, you know, persons in their own little ways have a desire to want to give back to where they're coming from. Because one of the things we try to do here is to encourage persons that whatever you sow, as you heard the principal said earlier, you know, the seed you sow today will benefit the community in the future. So I mean, if we can start here at this level, nourishing these young children's mind, encourage them to focus in on what is important, then we know that the future of Jamaica is much better than what it is now. So with our partnership with Abigail is, for me, a wonderful thing, and we're expecting great things with this partnership, and I hope that this thing will grow from strength to strength, you know, as we go along.
As St. Richard's continues to provide a holistic environment for our children, the parents are thankful for the thought and care shown to their children.
It's helped a lot, you know, because you know in the morning when you wake up, even if you look out for breakfast at home, she's not going to eat it, but she loves to interact with the other kids when they're eating, so well, it helps out a lot.
It is very good because at home she doesn't eat, but eating here at the school, it helps because she interacts with other kids. So I think eating with other kids help her to eat as well, and she eat more.
I just want to thank those of who are helping to donate and continue to do it. I really appreciate it.
What do you want to tell me about your breakfast that you eat in the mornings and coming to school and having fun with your friends?
It's nice, and it keep my bellies when it's break time.
The breakfast program here is a cut above the rest. The kids get porridge, the vegetable, and my son and my daughter have breakfast every single morning, even if they have breakfast at home. It's their duty to have breakfast here, and so it's a time when the kids get to, I don't know what Auntie put in the breakfast, but my son seems to love the porridge, and so I can't make porridge like Auntie, and my daughter seems to love her lunch, and she's putting on a lot of weight, but you know, I love that about the school. The teachers and the chef, I just want to tell you thanks for your hard work, for taking care of my children. They know my son by name, Nehemiah, so when he comes in the morning, it doesn't matter what time they have his breakfast prepared, because he can't function without having his breakfast at school. And to the principal, she's doing a superb job in the sense of, my daughter usually attends a prep school, and St. Richard's is a cut above the rest. It is like a mini prep school with a very minimal cost. And to Miss Douglas, she is the most loving teacher and the most kind teacher. And to Shireen, my daughter, is so elated with the school. The ministry should take a page out of what St. Richard's is doing here and let other schools adopt what they're doing, because the students are learning and the students are being experienced to a whole heap of stuff. And I think what St. Richard's is doing is like, it's a first world country. It's you know what we get in a first world country, and that's what I love about St. Richard's.
I think we have a fabulous staff here. I think the teachers are just great. It's not just a job for them, it's their career. They love what they do. They take the time out to individually speak to children, you know, even if they're being naughty, they take the time out to talk to the children, not about punishing them, but to show them and talk to them about what they're doing, and you know what would mommy say or daddy say if they heard that you were doing this, you know. So we try to inculcate the family life here, and not just coming to school, but beyond when you go back home.
I'm from the diaspora, and I want to give back to Jamaica. the skills and experience that we have and things that we can leverage from the UK to bring to Jamaica.
Even though sometimes we may say this is hard work, but we are committed.
Whose side are you waving on? Waving on the Lord. Let's wave, I wave, I wave, I wave, I wave. Waving on the Lord's side, so I wave, I wave, I wave, I wave. Waving on the Lord's side. Whose side are you waving on? Waving on the Lord's side. Whose side are you waving on? Waving on the Lord. Let's wave, I wave, I wave, I wave, I wave. Waving on the Lord's side, so I wave, I wave, I wave, I wave. Waving on the Lord's side.
I wanted to be an educator because I believe that education is the most powerful weapon that can change the world.
My dreams and aspiration is to one day become an entrepreneur where I can employ other persons and help to build the country.
I wanted to go into development. I wanted to help people become better versions of themselves. Growing up, I saw a lot of violence, I saw a lot of crime, I saw a lot of poverty. The challenges are so many. The first one that comes to mind is the level of youth unemployment that's here.
Challenges that exist here in West Prospect Bogwalk are lack of awareness for educational opportunities or job opportunities.
Not many got the chance to do CXC or graduate from the secondary level. So that's a major setback for the people living in the community.
A way to alleviate this issue is training programs.
They need more opportunities, like to go back to school to get themselves a certificate so they can be able to work and create employment for themselves and their family.
Push more entrepreneurship opportunity, encourage these youths to be creative and innovative in what they do. Give them startup capital to start their business. Invest more in the youth skills and talents.
The Poverty Reduction Program is funded by the European Union, and it really is a program that focuses on the most vulnerable type of communities, making communities safer, making citizens more healthy, better access to education.
For European Union, investing in youth is an obvious choice. They are the future of the country. If we prepare them well, they will bring the change that Jamaica needs. That's why we invest in scholarships, internship, training in life skills and mentorship.
I received a tertiary scholarship from PRP to attend the University of Technology, Jamaica. It meant a lot to me because I realized that somebody else believed in me and somebody saw the potential that I have and somebody believed that I could actually achieve my goal.
I benefited by getting firstly an internship, and also they assisted my bachelor's degree financially. But critically, outside of the finances, the persons that were on the project, you know, the motivation that they provided, etc., it really provided a huge boost.
This is my third year at the MICO. This scholarship, it helped me to be able to focus only on my education here, because tertiary education is not cheap.
I was placed at ODPEM on the one-year internship program. It was really good. It was an opportunity for me to prove myself, to give myself a service, and also to gain experience in the working world, and to also provide for my family.
I plan to be an agent of change in my community by being a mentor, a leader, and a godfather for the youths growing up. Try to help them, teach them a trade.
You don't have to be rich to help. You don't have to achieve greatness to start. I contributed to my basic school by providing them with the necessary resources that they need, that I believe that in the long run, it will have a ripple effect on many, many persons.
Professionally, I manage the whole program, which is aimed at giving young persons the opportunity to, you know, do what I did, basically, to get their foot inside an organization. Additionally, I also have a little small business that I try to employ young persons to learn a skill, etc.,
When you're persistent in life, when you're determined, when you're hungry for success, then you'll be able to accomplish and achieve anything that you want.
It has changed hundreds and hundreds of lives. Not just my life, my family lives, my friends' lives, etc. I want to just urge everyone looking on